can sit next to her, I don't need to sit next to her.
You need me to sit next to you, Dave, to keep you warm?
Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome. My name is Mike Smith. I'm lot 9394, and Mike Wood, lot number
137.
No!
What's your lot? Give me.
Right down.
right across the road.
Real close.
So, thank you all for coming. Thank you for dressing warm. I was hoping it would be a little bit warmer here this morning, but it is what it is. The reason we wanted to have this meeting is to get those people who want to know what's going on, to expose you to some ideas that have been discussed. And one of them is to create a method, a vehicle in which everybody can be informed about what's going on here at the campground. That's a big complaint we hear from a lot of people. And understand, none of us here are on the board. We're just owners like you are. We see things run a certain way, and we think, you know what, we can improve upon this. We can have more transparency, more openness, and we need to put things in place that will let everybody know what's going on. And so Mike has developed a website. I guess it's called a website. He's the internet guy. We'll get to that later. And we'll take a look at, he can explain all that. My part of this is I wanted to talk about the bylaws and the rules and regulations. We have two sets of documents, as all HOAs do. You have this big umbrella that's called the bylaws. Underneath that is the rules and regulations. Your rules and regulations cannot be in contradiction to the bylaws. Okay, this umbrella, they've got to fit underneath here. You can't put a rule that falls outside of your umbrella. Okay? Right now, we're in that situation. We have some rules that are in contradiction to the bylaws. It's been talked to the board about, we need to go over the bylaws, make sure, first of all, the bylaws state what you, as the members, want them to say. And the same thing with the rules and regulations. Are the rules and regulations what you want? This is our campground. Right now, I believe we have 135 members. We have 7 board members. The majority of the board members make all rules and regulations. So what that means is that 4 people decide what the rules and regulations are going to be for the 135. That's the way it's written right now. Is that what you want? If it is, fantastic.
That's why they're elected. They're elected by the people
to represent our will. That's right. And that's exactly what my next comment was.
Question.
Yes.
I'm new to the campground. We just purchased or whatever, but you said HOA.
Yes.
I didn't know we were.
This is
HOA.
not classified as an HOA.
Yeah, so where
Yes,
are you going with that?
it is an HOA.
No, it's not.
It's a campground.
It's a campground. If it was an HOA, then these bylaws and rules really nothing, because you purchase your own property. I've been in here 48 years, okay? We can discuss this stuff. The board is working on this. The board had every intention, because there is more than just deciding what the rules are, which I agree, we should all decide on that. But the whole thing is, you can't supersede Indiana law, you can't infringe on individual property owners' rights. That all has to be looked at by a lawyer.
Right, I agree.
So.
Now, first of all, your premise that we're not an HOA, according to Indiana law, we are an HOA. 1, do we pay assessment fees? Yes.
Yes.
That makes us an HOA legally. Whether the board wants to acknowledge that or not.
So you're telling me every campground in the area that does the same thing, which they all do, they're all HOAs?
Correct.
And no law will tell you you're full of it.
Okay, that can be a discussion for some other
Because
day.
there's multiple campgrounds in this area. All of them operate the same way.
In
They all
2009,
charge maintenance fees and all that, every single one of them.
right, they're all an HOA.
And they'll all tell you, no, we're campgrounds.
And they may say that, but the laws changed in 2009. And I've been through the laws, I've talked to again, that's a discussion for another day. Whether we're legally an HOA or not, all you gotta do is take a look at the laws that changed here in Indiana in 2009. If they're charging a fee, a maintenance fee, that everyone is sharing in,
Then you're an HOA.
you're an HOA. It's that simple. That's the law in Indiana. I belong to an HOA in Ohio as well.
So,
And that's the way it is.
I pay $120 a year, and it's a HOA.
Yeah.
They do 25 a month.
Well, then in that case, then they can start charging us HOA fees on top of everything else.
They don't
That
mark
is
it as
the
an
It's
HOA.
HOA.
already a fee.
So,
Whatever the documents say, the bylaws, those are the rules, whether you like them, don't, there's methods that you have to, that if you want to influence them. It's kind of black, so it's not really about trying to debate here whether you agree or disagree, but there's a process that you go through if you
Well, and
disagree.
was exactly my point with this. I am not trying to buck anybody. I'm not. But it seems to me like there's a lot of communication where people don't want to go talk to the board members. They had an appointment to meet with the lawyer. All of this with the bylaws has to go through the lawyer to see what is relevant, what is not.
To
They
actually
can't-
write the language that the members vote on. I agree with you.
They have,
You should,
well,
you
and they
should,
have
you
to
should.
see where too, that, you know, our bylaws are not trying to step on Indiana laws, because we still have to follow Indiana laws. So, you know, we did have a tornado. The board has been busting their ass. Busting their ass to get it done, and it seems like because that went by the wayside, and they're gonna pick that up next year, because they've been dealing with all this tornado stuff, there's this great big huge discussion. You guys don't see the amount of work.
oh, we do.
No, let me finish my statement. You guys have all had a chance to talk amongst yourselves. Let me finish my statement. You do not know the amount of work that these board members put in that you don't see here, along with their general duties that they're here, and being out here every day. People are running around here talking about me, talking about my family.
I'm sorry, who are you? I don't know.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm
y'all-
not trying to be smart, I don't know who you are.
I'm Shelley Lunsford. I'm part of the Strand plan, you know, us 40-year-old drunks over on that side of the campground. It's just irritating that it seems like there's a small group, instead of asking questions, want to keep a ruckus up in this place. I have, in 48 years, I have been down here since the get-go. Most of your lots, I have cleaned up. I have been told, why ain't you out there doing this? Well, right now I'm injured and I can't help. You know, it's just irritating and aggravating, beyond aggravating, that there's a group that can handle a place, and if we say something we're wrong, and we get blamed for everything. You know, I'm not looking for a pat on the back. I just want peace in this place, and it seems like we can't get it in the past
Amen.
3 or 4
That's
months.
what we're trying to do.
We agree with
That's
that.
what we want,
That's
absolutely.
what we're trying to
I
do
don't think
right
anybody
now.
here is opposed. That-
My
we-
name's
we agree.
Debbie, and I
And I'm
agree with
Lisa.
you. I don't know you, but I agree with you.
We just
I
want
want
peace.
peace.
We just want normal.
I promise you, that's all I want. I'm too old to
It's
know.
just, you know, this discussion, albeit, and that's all it can be, it can't be a meeting. It's this discussion.
Yeah,
Yes.
we are very, very grateful for everyone who has spent time.
And like I said, I'm not looking for a pat on the back, that's not my
Let me
point.
finish, please, let me finish. We are very thankful for everything that all of the campers have done, especially our board. What we are looking for now is open communication, which I think everyone wants.
And there is open communication, if you walk up and ask any of them, they'll tell you, don't go out and scream.
Monthly
Board meetings.
We do. We go to all the meetings.
I've attended, just let me give you an example of me, please. I'm new to here too, so you know a lot more than I do. I'm putting that
Oh,
out there.
I don't know anything, you
But
know.
I am one of the ones that lost a lot when the electric was cut with the fence. And I have been trying to get a hold of the board through any means, when I come here, which I wasn't able to because my electric was out, so I couldn't even use my site for over 2 weeks. I would drive around when I come here looking for a board member to talk to that had some authority to do something. I never saw one. I never saw who I really was looking for. I'm sorry. Who I was really looking for was Rob or Jeff, being they're the president and the vice president. Never saw him once. I put it at the email to the secretary. Never heard anything. Put it out on Facebook for somebody to see and hopefully say, hey, Jeff or Rob, she's looking for help. Never heard a word.
Did you go to their lots? Because I know Rod was here every day, living here, trying to get stuff done.
He wasn't here. I
He
wasn't
was
here.
on vacation.
Okay, I didn't know that.
They don't have to announce what they're doing.
I'm sorry. So I'm just
Okay,
telling you.
Let's bring this back.
Okay, we're gonna bring that back.
Let's round this back up.
Okay.
The purpose of this meeting is just information, just to have an open discussion on what we see, anybody sees
Oh,
as
they
issues.
should, you know.
This isn't a session to point fingers at anybody. Everybody here, and everybody I've spoken to who's not here, agrees that the board has done an outstanding job with the tornado. No question about it. All right, so one of the things that I've done some research on is looking at HOAs throughout the country. And because HOAs have, in some rare cases, become issues, they pass sweeping changes in the laws regulating HOAs. In Indiana, it happened in 2009. We do not even come close to aligning us with those rules, with the Indiana code. There's a lot of differences there. And the question is, do we want to fix this? Do we want to go and take a look at this? And if so, how would we go about that? One example, the bylaws. Do you know that our bylaws have two classes of members? An A and a B. A is what we all are here. A B member is someone who buys a lot, has a camper on it, and rents it out on the weekends or weeks out, rents it out for a week or leases it out for a month, whatever they want to do. They rent it out. It's a for-profit. Our bylaws allow that.
You're allowed to rent it out?
Like an Airbnb?
I think it'll be RPO.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I've been told, no, you can't do that.
I was
But our
told that.
bylaws say, yes, you can.
Really?
Yes.
I think they put rules in to stop that because they didn't want outside people in.
They cannot make a rule that violates or goes in contradiction to the bylaws.
Outside
They
the
can't
umbrella.
do that. I'm sorry?
Your umbrella thing you're talking about?
Right. If there's a rule and regulation that falls outside the umbrella of the bylaws, it's void. It's not enforceable. So right now, I can rent out one of my campers, and there's nothing that any of us can do about it because it's in the bylaws. I think that needs to be changed. I think it needs to be changed. Maybe you think it's okay. But that's something that we should vote on.
It's your property if you feel to choose to do that. It's up to you.
Well,
You own that piece of property if that's what you want to do with it.
That's true.
Unless the bylaws, what I'm saying is, when the bylaws were written, that's the way they were written. Is that the way you wanted to maintain? Because I was told when I bought in here, no, you can't do that. Okay, well, I started reading the rules. It says, yes, I can. So there's a conflict there that needs to be resolved. Do the homeowners here, at Hickory Woods, want that to be allowed? If not, then you need states otherwise. You need to vote on it and give it a chance. That's one example. Another one, this is what affects some of you that I know are here, in the rules and regulations. Section 1, rule number 2. Lots are going to be used exclusively for temporary family camping April through October. No one can live here in the summer. That's what the rules and regulations say. You can't live here in the summer. The rules and regulations say this is for temporary family camping.
14 days.
I'm sorry? There's no time limits stated here, but it says temporary. Some of us don't live here temporarily in the summer. It's not something we just come to, temporary family camps, I would come to the weekends, or maybe a week here and a week there. We live here. According to our rules and regulations, that's not permitted.
Which to me, I don't see that's a problem if you were here, and like, I know some people will stay
Some people live here.
through the summer, which is fine by me.
Fine by me.
And in the winter, they go to Florida or whatever,
Right.
they're retired, yeah, sweet. Good
And I
for
think
you.
that's
You own
fine.
your property.
So that rule should be changed.
Should, yes.
I,
If everybody agrees.
Right.
It's
It should
not
be
about,
voted on.
hey, what might be important to Mike, maybe I have a different view, and everybody settles it, and
Yeah.
that's what we do.
Well,
That's
it
fine.
should be up for a vote, yes.
that should be up for a vote.
I don't think anybody would complain about it.
I don't think so either. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, the one thing that I think that Mike's trying to get across is that, I believe that the board, in following the bylaws, can say, hey, you live here all year, we're gonna move it to temporary. And temporary could be a week. And then all those people that live here all year long would be out. So it needs to be brought up for discussion.
Well, and the point is, and I don't want to pick on anybody, but let's say, no, I bought it here with this was the intent, this is what I was told I could do. Now you're gonna change the rules after I'm moving in here, I'm gonna sue you. And to be honest, they would probably win. But the board would probably say, we don't care about that rule, we're not gonna enforce it.
Who they
Let's
gonna sue?
change it. What?
Who they gonna sue?
Campground.
Okay, but you're suing yourself then, because you're part of the campground.
Yeah.
You're the one who pays the bills for this.
Agreed.
Why would you sue yourself?
You're missing the point here.
That is the point.
There's HOAs
There's
all
a
over the
lot of
country
people that sue.
that have been
I
sued.
get that, but you would be suing yourself since you basically are owner of the campground because you're a member.
Hey, Mike,
Yes,
this is the campground have a DO policy,
yes.
director's and officer policy.
We do have a D&O insurance.
Hopefully.
Hopefully, okay, so you
I
have.
don't know, I mean, I haven't looked at the budget,
Policy.
the
Yeah,
receipts
because
to see if it's
the
in there.
president didn't even know who they were insured with when we asked them. Supposedly it's West End.
So there's horrible stories, all you have to do is look them up on the internet, on HOAs that have been sued by the membership.
Well, I insure HOAs, so that's why I asked if they had a DNO, so.
Yeah, I
We'll
don't,
find that out.
Yeah,
And
I'm sure.
the campground has been sued before and has lost those suits.
I know it was
You can
sued.
sue anybody, you can sue McDonald's because your coffee was too hot. We
That's a
can-
company though, you're not suing yourself.
We're not.
Figure Woods Campground is.
Is it-
No,
It's
it's
a
not.
nonprofit.
You don't own this campground,
This is a
you own
corporation.
your lot.
Okay, we're not for discussion.
Yeah, we're getting off the
Let's
topic.
stay on
So
topic.
anyway, the point that I'm trying to make is, I think as a campground, we need to review these two documents and do it in an open manner and go on with that. Right now, the way the rules and the bylaws are written, the bylaws are the umbrella. The rules and regulations are established by the board. The board can make any rule and regulation they want, as long as it doesn't conflict with the bylaws. One thing that kind of concerned me is, in section 6 of the rules and regulations, we had a meeting here to discuss 14-year-olds driving cars. I think it was pretty well received that everyone said, yeah, I think that's a pretty good idea, I don't have a problem with that. Then when the rules and regulations came out, it said 12-year-olds. 12-year-olds, everybody I talked to says that was never part of the discussion. We talked about this, they had a show of hands, how many people thought the 14-year-old was a good idea, and I think it pretty much overwhelmed me. Yeah, 14-year-old sounds good. It was brought up at the meeting, then, it wasn't published ahead of time, nobody really had any time to think about it. But when it came out that 12-year-olds, and they put a full page of rules and regulations around 12-year-olds driving, 12, 13, 14, 15. In other words, non-licensed drivers. Well, that caused me to start to think about, this isn't what we talked about, I need to do some more research on this. So I called my insurance company. Any non-licensed driver is not covered on your golf cart insurance.
If they have.
If they had it. which, again, our law says they've gotta have it, they've gotta
Yeah.
submit it there. But that insures the owner of the golf cart. That insures me. And in my particular policy, it's anyone in my family who drives the golf cart. If you were to drive my golf cart, my insurance isn't gonna cover you, he's not part of my family.
As long as you get him permission.
Well, even if I give him permission, he's not covered on my policy. Now, your policy, uninsured driver, things like that, I don't have that policy. Probably most of you do. I'm cheap, so, you know, I didn't get that. Now, the point I'm trying to make here is, there's two issues here. One, this is not what we discussed. As a campground, we did not discuss 12-year-olds driving golf carts under any condition. Two, they went ahead and made the rules that they wanted, which is their right. The board can make any rule and regulation they want to. That's their right, because that's the authority that we have given them. But now it's been brought to the attention of the board, hey, wait a minute, according to my insurance agent, no one's covered if you're not a licensed driver. No insurance company will cover you, you're on your own. So if you're a 12-year-old son, daughter, 13, 14, even your 20-year-old, who's a non-licensed driver, has an accident, your insurance company will not cover. You're responsible. And by default, the campground. That's not a good situation. I think, again, these rules and regulations, this specific one needs to be rescinded, taken out of there, because do we really want to open up the campground to a lawsuit? I had one bad example of a campground. There was an HOA. They got into a tiff with one of the homeowners over a sign that they posted out in their yard. It was all over the forest. It was 4 inches oversized. 4 inches bigger than the HOA said it was allowed to do. Legal battle, long story short, the HOA lost $400,000 because they had to pay him, the owner of the, and they had to sell some of their property to pay him all the legal fees and the civil action, all this stuff, because they harassed the homeowner. $400,000. I'm not saying that like that will ever happen here, but that's a bad case. That's a worst case scenario. We don't want to put the campground in a position where that could happen. Even if it's a $2,000, $100. We don't want that to happen. My idea is let's review these rules and regulations, let's review the bylaws, let's bring them into alignment with the Indiana code. That way we're protected. If we're underneath their umbrella, if we're underneath their rules, we're going to be protected. And again, I think that's something that we should all be involved in.
Correct.
I think that's something we can work on over the winter. That way, OT, everybody's informed, everybody has a chance to think about it, they can look at all the rule changes that are being proposed, which again, Jeff says that they would take all of this and they would look at all the proposals that we want to make, and then vote on it.
So Mike, you have been in contact with Jeff
Oh,
then about?
Jeff and I have had numerous positive, in my mind, I hope in his mind, seems like very positive. He's actually asked me to head up the committee for reviewing the rules and bylaws, and to do that over the winter, because none of us want to do this in the summer. We're all here wanting to have fun and enjoy the campground. So I think there's a lot of things we can do in the off season to get these things going, to get them resolved, to see, make a proposal, and the school, and the board can take a look at their leisure. They can take a look at them as we're doing it, and say, hey, here's a suggestion. That's what we're here, man. We just want open conversation. We want us to all be aware of what's going on, what should be done here to enjoy the campground, to make sure that the desires and the wishes of the owners are being met. We've elected the seven board members to do that. And they recognize that we've got some issues with all of this, and it shouldn't be, all the work that needs to be done, and we've seen it, can't be done by 7 people on the board. There's got to be committees established, and then make recommendations to the board. And that's what we're doing. We have these committees, make recommendations, so that all the heavy lifting is done by other people, and then all the board has to do is review their presentation, review the recommendations, and make a decision. That's not.
Anybody else have, I've got something, anybody else have any particular things that you feel are maybe an issue that people aren't aware of, that from the board perspective, again, you do a great job at what they do, but do any of you have a specific issue or specific need that is not being addressed by the camper?
I do. And I think, I might be the one that starts it, that doesn't allow it to happen to anyone else, but I think somewhere there needs to be grids, plots, something of all our utility lines that the utility companies are not responsible for. Because I understand that's how my electric got cut, was because it wasn't marked, because it's a campground line. So therefore, I'm out a lot of money of loss because it wasn't marked. And everybody I've talked to, 811, the electric company, the fence company, the electric repair of the fence company are all saying, we are not responsible, it's the campground because it's their lawn. So if we had a plot of where all the lines were, and I don't even know if anything like that exists.
It should, at least should be documented.
Because I guess there's a lot of these boxes, because there's 130 some lots in here, and there's only like, from my understanding, 6 to 10 blocks per box, so there's a lot of those boxes in here. So it could happen again. So I would, and I can't get anyone from the board to, no. Last week they finally addressed me after 3 weeks. So I would love to have something like that be available and used whenever something's being done around here.
Yes. Does the campground really have a mechanism for if you've got whatever, I hate to go the negative, but if you've got an issue or complaint, is that something that exists?
Yeah, there are complaint forms, and I've had people coming to me because I am on the board that complaints that have been submitted do not get reviewed.
Yeah, that is a bit of a opportunity.
Which is why I think what you're doing will be a great opportunity.
Anybody else have things that, again, like we all said, Mike and I were pushing a lot from different angles for different things, because there's things that are important to me, may not be important to you, or may be important to Mike, but everybody has things that are important. And what's really required is, it can't be that the board shoulders everything. That's it can't just be bring your plate. There needs to be, and I think there's an eagerness or willingness for people to volunteer for efforts. So, like your particular, there might be people say, hey, I know how to do it. I've got equipment that we could go through and we could mark whatever, put diagrams so everybody knows. There might be people that can do that, and worthwhile effort. It's just like, how do you make it happen? And it can't just be the board. So you're going to see that there are a lot of opportunities, and how do people get involved? How do you, because you may have, there may be people have certain skills that can do things, but there's really no easy mechanism with the way we operate right now. I was a little bit confused. So like Mike, I started looking at the bylaws, saying, okay, how does an owner really say? How do you address the board? And I looked at the agenda and said, there's really nothing in the agenda that says, hey, if I want to talk to the board about an issue, how do I do that? Voila! If you read the bylaws, there is supposed to be an executive, I want to say session, but if you look at the bylaws, where there is something the board is supposed to be doing, which is a session for residents to bring issues forward. I think it's kind of important to go back to the board and say, hey, we really think you should be doing this, because one of the things might be people don't know how or have an opportunity.
Go to the meeting.
Yeah. But again, if you're not, if there is an agenda item, there really is no reason that they have to address it.
But they will. If you go to a meeting and say, hey, I have this issue, you're not just going to say, I don't want to hear you.
Well, I mean.
Well, what about
It's not like you can't show up.
What
to
about
every
the
meeting.
water issue where
Maybe about
everybody
that.
lost all their rocks and the water was going all the way from the playground and ruined everybody's area? They talked about it, but they didn't do anything at all. So yeah, you can talk about it, but doesn't mean they're gonna do it.
And what about my issue? The
Yeah.
board meeting was canceled for good
Yeah.
reason in the beginning of October, and there aren't any more scheduled, so where do I go?
So I drove like from 7:30 this morning for this one, but the last one was canceled at 8:20, I guess. And you know, I only came here because of that.
But there was an emergency that came up the reason they
Oh,
canceled.
well, what was the emergency? They didn't say that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Well, I didn't hear about that. I'm sorry.
In general, not everyone can make board meetings, it's once a month, period. And when you do ask a board member, and I have in the past, and they're like, well, you should have been at the meeting, that's not acceptable, period.
There should be an emergency way to contact our board in case of an emergency.
Do we have one? Because I wasn't told of it.
We should have
Oh,
some
we should.
emergency
They have like an
plan.
emergency number.
Right.
And I don't know if that's something that the,
Let's see.
security
Oh.
people take care of, I don't know.
She raised her hand. Excuse me, ma'am, in the black and red, go ahead.
You do not give me permission to talk.
Oh. I just did it.
I think I hear, that we're starting down this road of being frustrated with the board, but I don't think that's the issue. I think everybody, well, I do, recognize that this is a volunteer position. It's not a job, it's a part-time position, and everybody's doing the best that it can.
They did a wonderful job.
And they have. I think that what I'm hearing from you guys is that there might be some additional opportunities for all of us to get involved a little bit more.
Yeah.
And so I don't want people to walk away from this meeting thinking that we all think the board's doing a bad job, because I think they're doing a great job. Everybody's doing the best they can. But I just wanted to interrupt for a minute, because I felt like we were going down maybe a more negative path than we wanted to, and get us back on, what are our opportunities?
Right, and I think you're absolutely right, because that is the purpose of this meeting, is that I think that all of us understand that all the work that has been done, all the work that needs to be done in the future, cannot be put on the shoulders of 7 people and say, you do it all, we're just gonna kick back and enjoy the campground, you do all the work, you do all the lifting. No, there's so many people who have come and said, I wanna help, how can I help? Well, this is how you can help.
Right.
There are committees being created, you can get on a committee, there's gonna be, I think, maintenance, how many committees have they talked about? 6?
Yeah, probably at least 6.
A lot of different things we'll talk about,
Yeah.
show you that. I would say it's more of a, how do you organize? And that's the blind spot that I think the board has right now. And it's not about just sitting back saying what's going right, it's how do you help. So what you're gonna see is something that says, is this a way to help, to get people involved? It takes some of the responsibility off. I don't know what the important issues are, but maybe it's marking, the utilities, and maybe you get a group of people and they focus on that, and it addresses a concern.
Can I say something about the
Sure.
utilities? So I've been here a long time. I've been in campgrounds 35 years. My wife, her family is one of the original, her grandparents are one of the original people that started it. So I do know when they laid the lines, the guy that they had run them did not go straight.
Do not go straight.
The lines are all over the place. And that's one of the issues. Probably the only one that might have a clue is where they're at is Lauren Foster, because I think he might have been in here at that time when they did lay that stuff. But the guy they had running the lines, because the water lines and the electrical lines are in the same hole. They're right together. Because back then you didn't have to separate them.
I mean, it's
That was
like-
40.
There's water tanks underground. I mean, there's water tanks that's underground in certain lots.
But I'm saying the water lines, your lines that
Right.
you're spigot,
Yeah, I know.
that all runs in the same trench.
So you know the person that did it?
So you're
But there's
saying
equipment.
we pretty much know where the water lines are, and it's pretty obvious, but the electric lines are gonna be almost impossible.
Well, they run in the same trenches, because they laid, when they dug the trenches for the utilities, they laid them together. But they don't go like a straight line like you would think. This guy was,
He was having fun that day.
he was all over the place. Because, like back where we're at, on the lot behind me, a few years back, we ended up, the guy started getting water up through his driveway. Nowhere where there should be a water line. And for whatever reason, this water line kicked off of main line, kicked out into that lot, and then back. We don't know why.
Yeah, we had a line house.
That's
and
interesting.
Tree or rock.
Scott. His ground was bubbling like a waterbed.
So, you would almost have to map this entire campground to
Right.
find all that.
Yeah, there's a lot
I
of
mean-
stuff. There's a lot of stuff. My question was, do you know who did it? Because we could look up, like, historical stuff and try to figure everything out.
I don't remember the
It's
guy's
all
name.
private.
Yeah.
There was,
And that's something, again, they
But
make
that,
equipment.
you're talking like 48 years ago that stuff was.
Right. But there's equipment out there that would,
Yeah.
people know how to use it, and.
But I'm saying, you would have to map this whole
You have to map the whole thing.
whole
And the
campground
question
to
is,
find it, because you don't know where
is that something we want to do as a campground and pay for that expense of renting the equipment or whatever needs to be done? Or do we just wanna say, you know what, it's no big deal, when issues crop up, we'll deal with it then? Again, that's a community issue. Is that something you want to go to the expense and the trouble to do, or you just wanna deal with problems when they crop up? Doesn't matter to me, maybe that doesn't matter to anybody else, but, it may really matter to some people. Now, I wanna know exactly what it is, in case I wanna put in a shed, or I wanna dig a post, I wanna make sure I don't hit anything, and then be responsible.
Well, them lines they're down deep. Oh, it's at least 4 feet down.
Not over here.
And that's what I'm saying, nobody knew that line was there.
Right,
They don't know why it's there.
I'm concerned if it helps others, I don't know.
But it's probably been there since the beginning.
exactly, yeah.
But that's why I said, there's only one person that might have a clue, would be Lauren Foster.
And I don't care, 48 years later, yeah, he doesn't know where everything is.
That's what I'm saying.
The day he was finished, he didn't know where everything was. I mean, he just couldn't. It's one of those things, is this something the campground wants to do? Does the community
Or give an
want
effort,
to
give
do?
an effort behind it for the people to volunteer, say, hey, that's important to me, get organized and, work it wherever it goes, go to the board and say, hey, here's what we think is best. And that's where I think we as owners can help the board. And I think that should be expected. It's not happening. It's been very, very difficult. I can tell you, Mike's been through it probably a lot more, but I was pushing the board from a different angle, says, hey guys, you need a technology committee. What the tornado exposed is a great thing we have in the campground. I love the Wi-Fi. It's important to me. But what it exposes, there's some issues. And went forward with my thoughts and my opinion as being somebody that works in the technology field, say, hey, these are the things you shouldn't worry about that you got a little bit of a blind spot on, and try to get those things organized. So I've been pushing pretty hard, says you need to get a group of people working together, and for the most part, you all know Lou that was really the architect. You've got Jim Buchanan. He does a tremendous amount of meeting. I'm helping from a different angle where I said, hey guys, you got problems here, here, and here. I don't know what it is, but here's how I can help you. So we've been attacking it from a different angle. I don't know if we're going to be successful. I'll be honest with you. I got a response last night that says, it was a little discouraging. It says, hey, basically, if you can't get on board with the direction I'm setting, maybe you don't need to be involved. And that's very discouraging. Very, very discouraging. So that sends a wrong signal, and especially if Mike or I or any one of you all are spending your time, just like the board says, this is important to me, I'm willing to put my time and effort. And you'll get to see how I've been setting stuff up, saying, board, look at this. I set a proof of concept, said, this is why I think you could probably do some stuff and have the ability to do it. And at the end of the day, the Wi-Fi will be more stable. Maybe we address some things that you didn't think about, running a single line from the office into here, and running a bulk of the campground off here. Well, problem is that line's back. now we got a problem. But it wasn't a conduit, however it got broke, but it's those kind of things that I don't want to take to the board. Let the guys and folks that guys, I always use guys, men and women, let everybody kind of work it for you. Be a tool that says, hey, this is what we can do, this is how we can help. Organize people during off season says, okay, we're gonna start, taking these individual problems and go work them, but you gotta have people on both sides that appreciate that and support that. And what I'm seeing is, if it's not what an individual may want done, they don't want you. And that's just something that is wrong. And I'm happy to share people's stuff, but again, it's not about bashing the board. It's really about how can we help them. And there needs to be groups of people focused on playground, spring cleanup, things be formalized, and it does happen. It just there's no easy way to know how to. And what you're going to see is a way to how do you volunteer for stuff. And be a little bit more formal. I'm a formal kind of guy. When I get involved in the campground, somebody gives me a piece of paper that says, fill this out with your contact information, and every year you got to submit this stuff. It's like, guys, that's nuts. Why would you run a campground like that? It's like, there's better ways. Here's how you do it. I'll do it. I'll volunteer and say, no, don't need it. We believe in KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. That was a response. It's good enough. It's like, then I see a post on Hickory Woods Campground. Hey, I sent my end of season note out. If you didn't get it, contact us. What's that tell you? What they have in place isn't very good, and it's not hard. And people are willing to step in and fix it, but you got to be open to that. And it's going to be good. And not all my ideas are right. But what's important is people to take a look at it and say, that makes sense, or it's stupid, maybe not the effective way. But we definitely need, I believe that we need to help the board open up and see the value that if people have interest in more work stuff, get them involved. Don't try to do it all yourself. There's so much here that needs to be done that people want to do, but the message I was getting is, hey, we don't need you. That's terrible. That was literally terrible. I can show you the message. We don't need you. So those are things that I think are very important. I've got a passion a different way. I'm a technology guy. I know this stuff, and I know I can help and put stuff in place. You're going to see where I put my mind. So what are the problems? If you got a Wi-Fi problem, who do you tell? I don't have a freaking clue.
Yeah.
If you have any problem, who do you tell? I have no clue.
Supposed to be bored.
Yeah, but that's really not. Correct.
We need that right time.
It's like support.
Yes.
You're looking for support.
Or, you're a board member,
The
right?
board doesn't communicate with me very much,
I was gonna say, why aren't they addressing you with some of the questions?
because I'm here as an owner.
And we've all talked again. I've had, Mike and I both had exchanges with different people. I know I submitted an assessment along with Jim Buchanan. I spent some time on it saying, hey, this is where I think your blind spots are. These are the issues. These are things you may want to consider, because if something happens at an office, your Wi-Fi is gone for a long time. You just think you work. So again, you would think that if a member sends something, that you get a response, and thank God. One response. Heard nothing for the rest of the board members, which baffled me. It's like, did you look at it? Did it make sense? Do you agree? But I appreciate the fact that she said, hey, thank you. So it's got to be a two-way street that the members have to provide some time the board has to be open to that, understanding that they're elected as the final say-so. It isn't the committees, but let the people bring forward what the community believes is important and they're willing to work on. That's the mark of true leadership. You can't shut people down because you disagree with what Mike's doing, or I disagree with maybe how they're doing some of this stuff, and to me it's trying to be inclusive. You know, I was shocked and a little bit upset when I saw some of these board meetings during the summer. I couldn't fathom a situation where there's confrontation, physical confrontation at a meeting. It's like, oh my gosh, this is nuts. Followed by, trying to bring up issues and things. Why we're doing this and that. I may disagree. Absolutely, I may disagree with it. That doesn't matter. One owner's opinion. There are a lot of others, but then I go back and I look at the bylaws and say, inconsistent with the bylaws. Say, at some point the community said this is the spending limit that the board is allowed to do without the owner's approval. Whether I agree with that or not doesn't matter. If it needs to change it. But you can't ignore it. That's fundamentally the problem. You can't just ignore and say, well, I don't like that bylaw, so we're just going to ignore it. I'm sorry, that's not. And if Bev and I are in a different position or different point of view, that doesn't mean that everybody else just says, okay, we're going to continue to operate that way. So there's a lot of opportunity. I'm personally not interested in the board, been there, done that. I've done homeowner association, athletics association. I wouldn't have her job or anybody on the board job, not in a million years. But I am willing to put time and effort. I will show you how I can help, what I can bring. And there's a lot of great people in this community. My family, some of you all may know, my mom and dad, Jim and Carol Wood, were back in the back. Dad was involved, hated. It was on the board. So again, a lot of different things. We came in this place because we grew up here. We love this place. And a lot of good things that every single board has put in, a tremendous amount of positive things. And I do think that the community needs to start stepping up and volunteering for stuff, but trying to figure out a mechanism how you do that. So.
I need to do that.
Correct.
I will say just one thing. We don't, I guess we've been maybe here 4 years here, but we've lived in Brookville for a very long, decades. But we do not have good communication as far as, I don't know what happens at a board meeting. I'm not here during board meetings. I don't think I've actually ever been present here when there is a board meeting. Because we're not here that often. But it'd be nice if we knew what happened. The minutes from a meeting were posted somewhere or something like that. On the other hand, I do want to say too, we're extremely happy, always been happy here, haven't had any issues at all, zero, none. I understand also, because I understand Brookville, and I understand this whole campground thing that goes on in Brookville, which is different, maybe not by law, but by reality, is different than other HOAs. I worry about more, I've been in HOAs, and I don't like them. I worry more about tightening things up so much. This has been a relaxed, it's kind of I know they really respect individual owners as far as what an owner does on an owner's property. That's more about actually the state of Indiana thing than it even is a Brookville thing. That's just how people in Indiana feel about property. And I'm not anxious to have it be that much different. We won't be volunteering for very much, I don't think, unless it's something we can do off-site, online kind of thing, which hasn't been the case. So the laissez-faire attitude that's been here, I enjoy it. I don't want to tighten it up too much. I understand the bylaws should agree. That happens to everybody. Everyone has to rewrite their bylaws every once in a while. And that's no big deal, except that it should be done by committee, of course. And it doesn't take that long. Because the state has theirs, and you go by that and add what you want, and that's all there is to that. And so anyway, it's a mixed bag for me between, I'd like some more communication, but I'm not anxious for more whatever, more
Rules, yeah.
and regulations, or more even, yes, do I think it's backwards to fill out a paper form? I do, but if there are people who don't use computers here, that's fine with me. I mean, I'm okay with that. I'd rather have that. I'd rather fill out my paper form than make everybody go get a laptop. You know what I mean? I just rather go in the old direction than the new, just because. So I find that a lot of things are working. Maybe they don't work as quickly as I would like them to, but I just think it's been kind of a small town, small campground type of an attitude, and I love that attitude. I really love that. I support the attitude.
Yeah.
I really do, because I haven't felt pressured about things. I haven't felt, I mean, the only rule I have to follow on a daily basis is 5 miles an hour.
There you go. That's a good point.
That's it. So that's it.
Most not have an opportunity, I mean, some folks have it, everybody's here.
My golf cart, they turned it up so it's like a race course.
Oh, you're one of them?
Well, my son owns a racing team and they wired it up to go fast.
I'm not even talking so much about golf, I'm talking about cars.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well, if you're in first gear, your car can't go 5, it'll stop.
When I come into campground, I don't even have to touch my throttle, I can go down to your 5 on my phone.
If you're in a
You're on the
stick,
throttle.
if you're in a stick, it's different. This one I can roll in, the other one I can't.
Stand there and read it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Talking about something more
So,
like.
So online actually is where I'd like to see.
So once everybody gets to the point where they have had an opportunity to talk, because again, it's just a discussion, what I'll show you is what I've done. It's not intended, it says, this is how the campground has to operate, but it's a vehicle on how I think things can work a little bit better. People understand what's going on, and it's in one thing. Hopefully it's something that you all can take care of.
We had a website that was available to all members, all owners, I should say. And for some reason it shut down. I want to say.
Is that the HGCI dot whatever I saw it? Yeah.
And it was brand new. And actually Dan's son helped us set it up, volunteer. Dan Suarez. And it was up and running for many years, and good, we did not have an online application for membership. We just didn't get that far into it, but it was a place to put the bylaws, but then it was like, they didn't want the bylaws put on the book. They didn't want to, and we did have them on there, thanks to Josh. We had the bylaws and rules and regulations, but it shut down. I want to say this year, maybe? Last year?
They said it was 2.
Was it 2 years ago?
I can't stay much longer. I appreciate you having this meeting, but we're talking about committees and stuff like that. Like, how are the committees formed? Like, how do you volunteer for a committee? Because are they set up by the board, or they?
Yeah, I think effectively they have to be done by the board. They should be done by the board. This is kind of like,
It happens like at a board.
it's like, what do you think? And again, both Mike and I have been pressing Jeff, says, hey, do you agree we need this? You need to formalize it. And we got an email that says, yes, it's formalized.
Okay, so there's no more board meetings until next year. Like I said,
Correct.
I don't know.
Well, not really, but none
So
that.
no committees will be formed until next camp season.
Yeah. So there's an iPad with the QR code on it. If you take your phone, take a picture, it'll take you to a website, www.currywoodscampground.com. And it's what I've done, what I've set up for the campground. I'm paying for it. all the back end, but what it'll do is say, you need that, if you wanna understand, has a way that you get registered, and it's layered with security so that only owners can see, anybody can really register, but only people that are owners can see certain stuff. And then from a committee standpoint, anybody on a committee may have some stuff that is not accessible, but a lot of stuff. And again, I'll show you all. It really starts with getting yourselves registered, so get everybody into this in a dialogue that people can put information out there. You can volunteer for committees. You can see what events are coming up in the campground. Who's doing what? You can, it's just tons of things. I've got a visitor registration thing where people can let the campground know, hey, I've got visitors coming in. I see that sign, that just drives me crazy, everybody's sign. But where you can have something where people can register, say they're going to visit, and something that the security people or anybody else, the owners can go in and say, yeah, I approve that person coming in. I don't know whether it makes sense, but I know it has the ability to make things run a little bit easier and have forms. If you're having a problem with the Wi-Fi, you see, how do you submit it? Hey, I'm having a problem with Wi-Fi. How do I report a problem? I tried to address all the things that I think that people are frustrated with. That it may or may not be the same thing. You may say that we don't need that, but I will tell you, it's a way. It's a way. It's able to say, take input and get it to someone else. We just got to formalize who the someone else is on the other end.
And that'll be by registered?
Please?
That'll be by registered?
Yeah. You can't, if you're not registered and you get bogus information, you ain't gonna get in. It won't
But
let you.
I'm saying the committees themselves, you said like 6 committees, like when are they going?
Now,
I'm putting this stuff out there.
So
I
who
did.
does? You know who does it?
So the board
Jeff,
has approved.
Jeff is
I don't.
It doesn't have to go through the board, it has to go through only the
I'm
president.
from Indiana also,
Can
and
appoint
all these people that wanna
the
play,
committee.
they have
And he's appointed,
better than me.
the rules and bylaws, rules and regulations committee, he's created that. And possibly, that's all I know, because that's the one that he asked me to head up. There's probably a budget committee.
And it is.
Yeah, that's right, there is a budget, because I know, I received something from him on the budget committee. And so those 3 I know have been approved by the board, and the idea is, we don't wanna wait until next spring to start this.
So we're looking for volunteers
We're
now.
looking for volunteers, but over the winter, join a committee, have your voice heard, and so that come sometime in the spring, we can make a proposal from each committee to the board. Here's what the people who have been participating in the committees have said about on this committee and this committee. Here's the conclusions that they've drawn. This is what their proposal is, and then the board can act on it.
Well, I have to go, so the website or the thing, will you
Can she
have that
stay
out?
on
If you got a phone, just come over here and take a picture, and it'll take you where you go. Anybody that wants to see what is there, I'm gonna
I'll show you.
But it'd be nice also, like,
My
if you
name's
need something
Beverly,
done,
right?
hey, put it out
Oh,
there,
you're
like,
kidding.
I started
Yeah.
their new floor the other day
Yeah.
because their shoulder's bad, I'm like, hey, you need something done, hey, I'll come over and help you, you want something moved, I'll come help you. I'm Mark, I'm 96, what's your name, man?
I'm Darlene Tracy, 136.